have a really wonderful group of leaders tonight to share some reflections with us. And first up, I want to introduce Jay Davis, who is the faith organizer for Georgia Equality. We're so glad to have you with us tonight.
You for allowing me to be here. I'm really shy, so just bear with me. Okay. So Moses asked me to come on here and just tell my story as it relates to like the Methodist Church or whatnot. So yeah, my name is Jay Davis. I am a non-binary Black trans person who doesn't believe in gender or any type of construct for that sort. So I am the faith organizer here at Georgia Equality. Um, I attended Tuskegee undergrad for elementary education. Um, and that is where my story begins because that is where I fell in love with the Methodist Church. It was also the first time that I ever heard a Black woman preach because that Black woman was my campus minister in for the Tuskegee Wesley Foundation. And so it was there where she kind of took me under her wing and formed me into this person that fell in love with God all over again. Um, I grew up Southern Baptist, so I grew up steeped in the Black church. My grandmother was a Sunday school superintendent. She recently retired about 4 or 5 years ago, but she is still very much part of that ministry. So you could say that I fell in love with the church because of her. Um, I came into the Methodist Church by joining Alabama West Florida Conference. Went into the position of becoming a certified candidate right before going to Duke Divinity School and taking all the courses that I need to take to become ordained. A turn in my life took a turn when I came out at Duke. Um, and it was around the time the General Conference was meeting up for the first time to talk about the matters of ordaining queer bodies. After having numerous debates with colleagues and after sitting in the classroom as the only Black person who was in their Methodist courses, it became very hard for me to sit in the space where I believed that God had called me, um, yet the people around me couldn't see uh, what God was doing in my life. So I divested myself from the Methodist Church. But I will say till this day, I still love the Methodist Church real bad. um, so moving forward, I went into Candler School of Theology to get a THM because my path shifted from becoming a campus minister to wanting to become a professor and teach. So yeah, the research that I've done at Candler talks about Black trans bodies within the Black church. And so there I shifted a lot of that to make the church aware. And that is part of my role at Georgia Equality. As a faith organizer, I meet a lot with different churches, different faith communities of all faiths. And one of my biggest goals is to try to help them become more advocates rather than just being an affirming church. An advocate church allows for, stands up for the people regardless. It combines itself with the community that the church is in, and it meets the needs of the most marginalized person within that building or in that faith community. So that is my role. I don't know what else to say. I talk really fast. So I will say this though. I was recently on my Instagram. I was given the opportunity to be a part of an exhibit that's happening in Durham, North Carolina, and it's called the In Between exhibit that showcases LGBT Christian um, people of all kinds. And I think in that very moment when this photographer took my photo, I they asked me like, why do you still remain so deeply connected to God, um, even though the people of God are constantly uh, rebuttaling your existence? And I would say that like I came out because of God. I didn't come out because of people. The first person I came out to was to myself. I spent years telling folks that I had been delivered from same-sex attraction. And then I would go home at night after sharing those messages and crying myself to sleep because I knew deep down inside that it wasn't the truth. Um, so long story short, I it was my relationship, my faith with God that allowed for me to be who I am today. I don't have a problem with God, just have a problem with his people. And I am working on that within myself. Um, so if you want to know more about my story, uh, please uh, send me a link in the chat and we can talk. Um, I do still feel called to the Methodist Church, and I do still feel called to being ordained. And ever since seeing that message or hearing the news about the Methodist Church um, divesting itself from the language and the harm, I only ask if the Methodist Church can just apologize as well. It's one thing to remove the language and to remove the harm, but it's another thing to have open dialogue with its people and to spread a message of apology and just, yeah. So if anyone would know how to get me back on the ordination track, I would love to do that. But until then, I am just here trying to make faith communities more advocates and talking a lot of smack at the capital of Georgia with legislators. That's a part of my job. So thank you again for inviting me to this space.